The notification on my phone showed a dependent I'd never claimed receiving medical benefits at Madigan Army Medical Center. I'm Romeo Penn, 32, Petty Officer 2nd Class Navy. Currently deployed to Joint Base Lewis McChord, Washington, running logistics for the 62nd Airlift Wing. Been here 8 months. Single. No kids, no wife. No dependents registered in DEERS. Yet someone named Marcus Holloway was listed as my spouse in the Defense Enrollment Eligibility Reporting System. The alert came through my military benefits app at 0347 hours. Emergency room visit. Chest pains. Treatment approved under my TRICARE Prime coverage. Total cost, $2,847. My responsibility, $0. I stared at the screen in my quarters. The base was quiet. Night shift skeleton crew. Just me and the glow of my iPhone trying to make sense of impossible data. Marcus Holloway. Male. Age 29. Dependent spouse since March 15th. 6 months ago, right after I deployed. I opened my laptop, logged into the personnel system, cross-referenced the enrollment date with my records. March 15th was 3 days after I left for Washington. Someone had waited exactly 72 hours. The address listed for Marcus Holloway was 1247 Oakwood Drive, Tacoma. I'd never been to that street, never heard of it. But the phone number registered to the account was familiar. It was my best friend's number, Devin Castellanos. We'd served together for 6 years. He had my power of attorney, access to my mail, keys to my apartment back in San Diego. Complete trust. I called the number. Straight to voicemail. Devin's voice. Casual. Normal. Hey, you've reached Devin. Leave a message. I hung up, opened my credit monitoring app, 3 new accounts I'd never opened, a car loan for $34,000, 2 credit cards with combined limits of $18,000, all approved using my military income verification, all applications submitted from Tacoma, Washington. My hands stayed steady. Training kicked in. Document everything, verify sources, build the case. I screenshot every alert, every fraudulent account, every impossible dependent claim. The timestamps told a story. Someone had been busy while I was deployed. The medical records showed Marcus Holloway had been using my benefits for months. Routine checkups, prescription medications, dental cleanings. Living a full life on my military coverage, I pulled up the base directory, found the fraud hotline number, then stopped. Devin had my social security number, my military ID information, my banking passwords, everything needed to create a perfect identity theft operation. But why use the name Marcus Holloway? Why not something random? I searched the name online, found a Marcus Holloway who died in a car accident 2 years ago in Oregon, age 27 at time of death. No surviving family listed in the obituary. Someone had stolen a dead man's identity to steal my benefits. My phone buzzed. Text message from Devin. Hey man, how's going? Miss hanging out. Can't wait for you to get back. I stared at the message. The timestamp showed 0352 hours. 5 minutes after I'd discovered the fraud. 5 minutes after I'd called his number, he was awake. Monitoring something. Maybe monitoring me. I needed to understand how deep this went. Devin had been my roommate at Fort Bragg before my S4. We'd shared everything. Stories about our families, financial struggles, career goals. He knew I was single with no dependents. He knew my pay would be substantial. The trust had built slowly over 6 years of service together. Devin helped me move apartments 3 times. I'd co-signed his motorcycle loan when his credit was shaky. We'd covered each other's shifts during family emergencies. Standard military brotherhood. When I deployed to Afghanistan, Devin offered to handle my mail and apartment maintenance. I gave him power of attorney for convenience. He could sign for packages, handle lease renewals, manage any emergencies that came up. Don't worry about anything back home, he'd said. I've got your 6. I'd believed him completely. Now I sat in my barracks room at 0400 hours, building a timeline. The first fraudulent dependent claim was filed 3 weeks after mine began. Marcus Holloway appeared in the system on February 15th. Listed as my brother, emergency contact information led to a Tacoma address I'd never seen. The medical claims started immediately. Urgent care visit for flu symptoms. Prescription for antibiotics. Follow-up appointment 2 weeks later. Someone was methodically using my benefits while I was 8,000 miles away. I pulled up my banking app. The direct deposits looked normal. military pay hitting my account every 2 weeks. But there were withdrawals I didn't recognize. Small amounts. $200 here, $150 there. Always from ATMs in the Tacoma area. Devin had my debit card information. I'd given it to him for apartment emergencies. Rent payments. Utility bills. The withdrawals were small enough to avoid triggering fraud alerts. I called my credit union's fraud department. The automated system routed me through 15 minutes of menu options before connecting to a human voice. This is Patricia with Member Services. How can I help you today? I'm deployed military. Someone's been using my accounts without authorization. I'll need to verify your identity first. Can you provide your social security number and mother's maiden name? I gave her the information. She pulled up my account. I see several recent transactions. Are you questioning specific charges? All ATM withdrawals from Washington State. I am currently deployed to Afghanistan. Silence on the line. Keyboard clicking. Sir, I show authorized user access on this account. Someone with power of attorney has been making these withdrawals. I need that access revoked immediately. I'll need written documentation to modify power of attorney arrangements. Can you visit a branch location? I'm in Afghanistan. We can mail forms to your APO address. Processing time is typically 2 to 3 weeks. I hung up. 2 to 3 weeks meant Devin could drain my account completely. I opened my laptop and logged into the military benefits portal. The dependent information showed Marcus Holloway with a birth date that made him 2 years younger than me. Listed relationship as brother. Emergency contact phone number was Devin's cell. The address was 1247 Cedar Street, Tacoma, Washington. I pulled it up on Google Maps. Small apartment complex, near Joint Base Lewis McChord. Walking distance from where Devin was stationed. I called the apartment complex directly. Pine Ridge Apartments, this is Kelly. I'm trying to reach a resident. Marcus Holloway in Unit 1247 Cedar Street. We don't have a Cedar Street address, sir. Our building is on Pine Ridge Drive. My mistake. Do you have a Marcus Holloway as a resident? I can't give out resident information over the phone. You'll need to visit in person with proper identification. Another dead. But the address discrepancy was telling. Someone had used a fake address close enough to the real apartment complex to pass casual verification. I needed help from someone I could trust completely. Someone with access to stateside resources. I called Sergeant First Class Maria Gutierrez. She was stationed at Fort Carson but had connections throughout the military police network. We'd worked together on a fraud investigation 2 years earlier. Romeo, what's going on? You sound stressed. I need a favor. Someone's been using my military benefits while I'm deployed. I think it's identity theft. Send me everything you have. Screenshots, account numbers, timeline. I'll run it through our fraud database. I spent the next hour compiling. Bank statements showing unauthorized withdrawals. Medical claims for Marcus Holloway. Credit applications using my military income. The fake dependent registration. All of it pointing back to Devin. Maria called back within 3 hours. Romeo, this is bigger than simple identity theft. Your friend has been running a systematic operation. We found similar patterns tied to 4 other deployed service members. My stomach dropped. 4 others? All deployed within the last 8 months. All had given power of attorney to the same person. Devin Castellanos. He's been creating fake dependents and draining military benefits across multiple accounts. How much money are we talking about? Conservative estimate? Over $180,000 in fraudulent benefits and account access. Your case alone shows $23,000 in unauthorized activity. The number hit like a physical blow. $23,000. My entire savings. Money I'd planned to use for a house down payment when I returned. There's more, Maria continued. Devin's been using deceased identities for the fake dependents. Marcus Holloway died in Oregon 2 years ago. The other names trace back to obituaries from different states. He's been harvesting dead people's information to create believable military dependents. What's our next step? I'm contacting the Regional Electronic Crimes Task Force. This crosses state lines and involves federal benefits fraud. They'll want to build a case before making arrests. How long will that take? Depends on how cooperative Devin is when they approach him. Could be days, could be weeks. I hung up and stared at my laptop screen. The one was overwhelming. Devin had systematically betrayed not just me, but 4 other service members. While we were deployed and vulnerable, he'd been stealing our identities and draining our accounts. The worst part wasn't the money. It was the calculated nature of it. Devin had planned this operation carefully, researched deceased identities, created fake addresses, timed the fraud to coincide with our deployments, when we'd be least likely to notice discrepancies. He'd look me in the eye before I deployed and promised to watch my back. Instead, he'd been planning to rob me blind. Agent Carter from the Regional Electronic Crimes Task Force called 3 days later. Her voice was sharp and professional. Petty Officer Penn, we're ready to move on, Devin Castellanos. We need your cooperation for a controlled operation. What kind of operation? We want you to contact Devin. Normal. Suggest meeting when you return frontal. We need him to admit to the fraud on a recorded call. My hands tightened around the phone. When? Tomorrow. 1,400 hours your time. We'll have monitoring equipment ready. Just get him talking about the benefits and the dependent situation. The next afternoon, I sat in the communication center with recording equipment provided by base security. Agent Carter was on a conference line from Seattle. My heart hammered as I dialed Devin's number. Romeo, man, how's it treating you? His voice was casual, friendly, like he hadn't stolen $23,000 from me. It's going well. Listen, I've been thinking about finances for when I get back. How's everything looking with my accounts? Everything's solid, brother. Your dependent benefits are processing smoothly. Marcus has been a huge help with the paperwork. There it was. He just admitted to the fake dependent on a recorded federal investigation line. Marcus, remind me how you set that up again? Simple stuff. Just needed his social security number and some basic documentation. The military benefits office doesn't really verify much when you're deployed. They trust the paperwork. Agent Carter was taking notes furiously on the conference line. And the address situation? I used that apartment complex in Tacoma, Unit 247. Perfect setup because they don't require actual occupancy verification for military dependents, just mail forwarding. Devin was confessing to everything. The fake address, the fraudulent dependent, the systematic exploitation of military benefits processing gaps. How much have we saved so far? Your account's looking good. I've been managing the dependent allowances carefully. Should have a nice chunk waiting when you get back. Ballpark figure? Maybe 25,000? Hard to track exactly with all the different benefit streams. My jaw clenched. He was admitting to stealing my exact loss amount while pretending it was legitimate savings. Devin, I need to ask you something directly. Is Marcus Holloway a real person? Silence stretched across the line, long enough for me to hear my own heartbeat. What kind of question is that, Romeo? A simple one. Is he real? Of course he's real. Why would you ask that? Because I ran a background check. Marcus Holloway died in Oregon 2 years ago. The line went completely quiet. I could hear Devin breathing. Romeo, I can explain. Explain what? That you've been using a dead man's identity to steal military benefits? That you've been running this scam on multiple deployed service members? It's not what you think. Then what is it, Devin? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like identity theft and federal benefits fraud. Look, the system is broken anyway. These benefits just sit there unused. I was helping you maximize by creating fake dependents and stealing dead people's identities. It's not stealing if the money was going to you anyway, except it wasn't going to me. It was going to accounts you controlled using fraudulent documentation. Agent Carter was signaling for me to keep him talking. How many others, Devin? How many other service members are you running this on? Romeo, you need to calm down. Answer the question. It's just a few guys. Everyone benefits. The military has more money than they know what to do with. How many? Maybe 4 or 5 total. Look, when you get back, we can sit down and work this out. We're working it out right now, with federal investigators listening to every word you're saying. The line went dead. Agent Carter's voice came through immediately. Perfect. We have everything we need for arrest and prosecution. What happens now? Seattle field office is coordinating with local law enforcement. Devin will be arrested within the hour. We'll freeze all associated accounts and begin asset recovery. How long for the legal process? Federal benefits fraud carries serious penalties. With multiple victims and systematic operation, he's looking at significant prison time. Probably 18 months minimum. 2 hours later, Maria called with an update. Devin's in custody. They found detailed records at his apartment. Spreadsheets tracking all 5 victims. fake identification documents, even a tutorial he'd written about exploiting military benefits processing delays. What about the money? They recovered most of it. Your portion should be back in your account within a week. The other victims are being contacted and will receive similar restitution. And the charges? Federal benefits fraud, identity theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy. The prosecutor is recommending a plea deal for 2 years federal prison plus full restitution and penalties. I sat back in my chair, processing everything. Devin had systematically betrayed 5 deployed service members. He'd stolen our identities, exploited our trust, and treated our financial security like his personal ATM. But the system had worked. The investigation had been thorough. Justice was being served. There's one more thing, Maria added. Agent Carter wants to use your case as a training example, help other military families recognize the warning signs of benefits fraud. I'm interested. She's also connecting you with other victims. Apparently, there's a growing network of service members who help educate families about financial security during deployments. The betrayal had been devastating. But it had also revealed something important. The military community protected its own. When one person exploited that trust, others stepped up to prevent future victims. Devin had chosen greed over loyalty. He'd calculated that deployed service members were easy targets. He'd been wrong about that last part. 6 months later, I was back at Joint Base Lewis McChord on permanent assignment. The rotation had ended. The investigation was closed. Devin was serving 22 months at Federal Correctional Institution Sheridan in Oregon. The restitution had been complete. My bank account showed the full $47,000 recovery plus penalties Devin had been ordered to pay. The other 4 victims had received similar compensation. Agent Carter's cybercrimes unit had used our case to identify and prevent 3 additional benefits fraud schemes targeting deployed personnel. I'd kept my promise to help other military families. Every Tuesday evening, I ran financial security workshops at the Base Family Readiness Center. Spouses learned to monitor credit reports, recognize suspicious banking activity, and verify dependent status changes. I teach spouses how to monitor credit and identity metrics while loved ones serve. The sessions were always full. Word had spread about Devin's scheme. Military families understood the vulnerability that came with separation. Maria attended my 3rd workshop. She'd become the base's unofficial expert on benefits fraud prevention. Together, we'd helped 12 families identify and resolve suspicious financial activity before major losses occurred. Any regrets about trusting Devin? She asked after one session. No. The alternative is trusting no one. That's not how we operate. But you're more careful now. More aware. There's a difference. The truth was simpler than that. Devin had exploited a system built on trust and mutual support. His betrayal had been calculated and systematic, but it had also strengthened the community's defenses against future predators. I'd learned to verify financial changes immediately, to question unexpected account activity, to maintain regular contact with my bank during deployments. Basic security measures that should have been standard practice. The other lesson was more personal. Real friendship survived scrutiny. Maria had proven that by helping expose Devin's fraud. Trust wasn't naive when it was earned and verified. My apartment was quiet now. No suspicious phone calls. No mysterious bank alerts. No fake dependent claims draining my accounts. The financial monitoring app showed steady, predictable activity. Devin's betrayal had cost me $47,000 and 6 months of investigation stress. But it had also connected me with a community of service members dedicated to protecting each other from similar exploitation. The workshops continued. The education spread. Other bases requested similar programs. Devin had intended to exploit deployed service members' isolation and trust. Instead, his scheme had created a network of informed, vigilant military families who actively protected each other's financial security. Justice had been served. The money had been recovered. The system had been strengthened. It was finally over, and the silence felt earned.